Yeah.
And we're live.
What's up, y'all? Hey, as promised, you get not one, not two, but 3 shows in the same week. Out of the Darkness is back.
What's the third one?
Sunday.
I thought we didn't do Sunday.
We're doing Sunday. This coming Sunday. Man, look, I had this whole intro all, man, I've been working on this all day, and then you interrupt me, bro.
All right, well, I thought I was going crazy for a minute because I was pretty sure
Start over with you.
That's a short trip, so. All right.
To the people. Sorry. I'm a little hyped up right now. I've had a little caffeine, got a little booze in me. It's the middle of the week. I'm sorry. I'm ruining everything. I'm going to shut up now.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Love you. All right, but welcome back to Out of the Darkness. I'm super excited. We have a midweek stream special guest here, Mr. Daren Slater. You guys know him. You've met him before. He needs no introduction. Miss CC Davis is back. How are you doing, Miss CC?
I am doing well this evening. Thank you for asking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have a fantastic show for you guys. I'm looking forward to it. Always exciting to see you guys in the middle of the week. And to get involved, just to have everybody's involvement. So come on in. I know that it usually takes a few minutes for people to get settled in, but man, guys, it's a lot going on right now. It's crazy times, huh?
Oh yeah.
2020 has been a doozy of a year, and we're still not done. Still have 3 months or so to go.
Oh, man. I was talking to some people that I got together with. I went fishing with this spring, early spring, and I was like, "Yeah, I remember last year when y'all came. It's like we were just there this year." And I'm like, "Golly, man, April seems like it was 2 years ago." Man, it has been a crazy year, but it is coming to an end. Hey, we got to have a watch party. I would love. Soda, is there any way we could do a watch party of the debate on live?
Quite possibly, if we can find a live stream of it.
Hey,
I mean, it might be better to do it in one location though for that, but.
And I'm totally, I totally would be down with that. Daren, we should definitely be in the same room for that debate. I'll bring the popcorn.
Well,
gonna be off the hook.
Yeah, here's the thing is that, the Patriots, they have been texting me, man, ever since I went live about that video. You know, it was intended to be funny, but I couldn't help but laugh. I mean, Joe Biden actually wants to show up for a debate with Trump. So all the Patriots are just like, yeah, man, we gotta create an event and get all the Patriots out to watch this debate because it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be hilarious, but it's gonna be epic.
Now the only thing I hope that Trump doesn't overlook him, right? I don't see Joe Biden being the strongest candidate, but as we get ready and let people come in, so I'll put it to you like this, because I respect both of y'all and both of y'all's interest in politics, right? So a few years ago, you guys might be aware there's a singer by the name of Chris Brown. He was dating another singer by the name of Rihanna, right? And I know this is stupid, but I'm going somewhere with this, so just follow me, right? Mm-hmm. So the night of the Grammys, they got into a fight, right? And of course, the narrative for everybody was, oh my goodness, can't believe he put his hands on a woman. That's messed up, which I don't condone men fighting women, just so we're clear on that. But I was talking to my wife about it, and she said, man, did you see the pictures of that? I mean, they were both pretty beat up. She said, but Rihanna had bite marks on her and claw marks and everything. And I said, yeah. I said, that's messed up. I can't believe he would put his hands on a woman like that. And she said, man, Chris Brown got his butt whooped. I was like, come on now. That's messed up. I mean, that's not what happened. He beat her. And she said, look, when people get to the point, especially a man fighting a woman, people get to the point where they start biting and start clawing and scratching, they're not winning the fight. And I thought about that and I'm like, yeah, that's actually a good point. Like, when have you ever seen somebody bite somebody and they were actually winning the fight, right? That's usually a last resort, right?
Well, I bring you to the scene and What's Love Got to Do with It when Angela had Larry in the back of that limo.
That's what I kept thinking about.
All right.
So, okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is that why are the Democrats fighting like this? If they really felt like, oh my goodness, this is a walk in the park, because we saw the reaction to what a walk in the park looked like in 2016, right? And they were convinced they were going to win it. They were convinced that Trump had no chance and it was all over. And we saw, I mean, they were chill as all get out up until election night, right?
Sure.
But man, they are fighting like none other right now, trying to pull every dirty trick they possibly can on this smear campaign, right?
Right.
And I really honestly believe that when you go to the point that you put Joe Biden up as the best and brightest that your party has to offer, I feel like they mailed it in already. I really do. Like, tell me if you feel like I'm wrong, but at the point that you put Joe Biden at the top of your ticket, he wasn't the best that they had to offer, but I feel like they were trying to preserve the other people for the next go around because they know they cannot win. They can't win this. You tell me who voted for Trump in 2016 that after watching him govern says, yeah, no, I can't get with him no more. Like, that was messed up. All of us voted for the man that voted for the man. We really didn't know what we were getting. A lot of us just voted because we were like, man, I know Hillary's going to be a dumpster fire, but I really don't know what we're getting. We don't have any background on this guy. We don't know how conservatively he's going to govern. Lo and behold, he really has been, in my lifetime, the most conservative president that I've ever seen. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying that he's the most conservative of all time because I'm not that well versed, but since Reagan, for sure, he's governed more conservatively, right? So after watching all of this, man, I feel like there is a desperation Hail Mary attempt by the party, right? And people start throwing temper tantrums when they are not getting their way and when they are losing, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we're seeing in Louisville. That's what we're seeing in not Baltimore, Baltimore also, in Seattle. That's what we're seeing in Portland. In great American cities, that's what we're seeing right now, is people throwing temper tantrums because they are getting their butt whooped right now.
That's right.
And so that's why I'm especially proud to be working with you guys. That's why we decided to get involved with Blexit, because it comes down to educating the next generation, but also educating others, teaching the principles of conservatism. What does conservatism look like, right? But do you guys think I'm nuts on this? Do you feel that they are? Do you feel that they are confident that they have this one in the bag?
I'm not seeing confidence at all. I see some backtracking. I do feel a lot of excuses are being made. I feel like it's almost like there's someone trying to back out, and not necessarily back out. I think that what they have done is they understand that the debate has to happen. Okay. It just wouldn't look good for them for the debate to not happen. But we've set the expectations so low is that if Joe just simply shows up and gets to the end of the debate, we're going to consider that a victory, And so, the low expectation that they have set with him just simply getting through it, I think that speaks volumes. So unfortunate. That's unfortunate. And you said something about what you hope Trump doesn't do, and I'm going to speak to that really quickly. What I hope that Trump does is that he simply comes in and he does two things. He speaks to the issues, and that he doesn't really focus on how inept or incapable he feels that Joe is. I think that if he just simply lists his accomplishments and talk about what his plans are for the future, I think that would solidify the debate. I think it would score a win for the conservative side. you know, you just don't want to come off as a bully and you know, he has that label anyhow. So I hope that he doesn't, you know, come in, you know, swinging and really trying to show that, you know, Joe is inept. I think that if he just comes in, focuses on the issues, and lists his accomplishments, no one can debate that at this point. No one. So
I think if he just sits back and lets Joe talk for 2 hours, Joe
sure.
will show his ineptness.
Sure. No, I don't know if you all, someone said, did Trump say he wanted, did he say in Bemidji something about something about wanting a drug test? And I think that what they were speaking to was that if it's possible that Joe is dementia or something like that, that drugs are given often, Adderall and speed, to kind of give moments of clarity. And so they were saying that, I'm hearing people say that after 2 hours, you can kind of see that waning where he might start out really, really alert, and then slowly there's this fade, and then you get the Joe Biden that starts wandering and making statements that don't make sense. And he's, you know, answering questions. He's misquoting data, totally wrecking metrics and things like that. So it's just going to be an interesting watch. But I really do hope that Trump focuses on his accomplishments and really speaks to what he's going to do for the American people in the next 4 years.
That's I hope the same, and I look forward to seeing in less than 7 days from now, in less than a week, we will all know the answer. So
right.
So, Daren, let me start off with you, man. So, you do realize, I mean, all of us are in trouble. We need to send out applications across the country and see which people group and which race of people will welcome us in. Because if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't black. So, for the people that are out there, right? I believe there's a strong case to be made against Joe Biden. We have 50 years of history, right? I mean, the guy's been in the public spotlight. There's always going to be some missteps, but man, I can't think of anybody who has had as many missteps as this guy. And I really find it not even funny, but I find it offensive that he has the nerve to expect, not ask, expect the vote of black people. Okay. And I say that I feel offended because I'm sick of being treated like a monolith. I'm sick of being treated as though all black people do this, but not all white people do this, or not all Hispanics, or not all Asians, right? We are the only group of people that are expected to vote, act, talk, walk the same way. And that's frustrating to me. It's very frustrating to me. But for the person that is on the fence, right? For the person who has always voted Democrat, their mom voted Democrat, dad voted Democrat, grandparents voted Democrat. They've always voted Democrat. So straight down the ticket. Why? Why are you not voting for Joe Biden?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I'm not voting for Joe Biden. Joe Biden, well, obvious is that he's a Democrat, and I do not like anything that involves Democrats, even historically. But now, so let's narrow in on just Joe Biden in particular, right?
Okay.
So 47 years, he has done nothing. 47 years, nothing. But as far as we can just say is being productive, right?
Okay.
Now, he has been good, okay, and going on record as far as racial slurs, referring to blacks in a very insulting manner, to be honest with you. And then also he had that flare up where he actually exposed himself. I'm gonna tell you this, okay? With Joe Biden, as I had told you before, when I was in San Antonio, and I wake up, I'm on vacation, and one of my supporters sends me a video of Joe Biden talking about, you know, vote for me, you're not black. That's nothing in comparison to the things that he has said before. I mean, this is the guy that actually looked up to Robert Byrd. This is the guy that actually aligned himself with segregationists. This is the
Robert Byrd. Explain who that is.
Oh, wow. I mean, the old grand wizard of the KKK.
No. Trump is the one.
Wow.
No. Come on, man. Trump is the one who aligns with the KKK. Not. Come on, man.
Right. And remember now the KKK is supposed to be on the right, remember? But it's kind of weird that the Democrats keep aligning with them. Also, Hillary Clinton as well has praised Robert Byrd. But so aligning itself with Robert Byrd and saying that he wants to keep schools desegregated, mainly because if you were to segregate, it'd be like a jungle. Wow. Then you know what, Quentin? We also must mention the 94 crime bill, right? Remember, one of the stipulations in the 94 crime bill was that if you were caught selling crack, you got a lot more time, period. And they know that crack was prevalent in the hood, right? But even before the crime bill was implemented, let's go before that, right? What did he say on the floor? He basically indirectly called blacks super predators and said that they have to be off the streets. They have to be arrested in order to protect society from these super predators. Wow. So also too, if you even use, if you refer to some of his memes, talking about, blacks are kind of like cockroaches, and, he used to let them, come up to him and rub his leg and all that kind of stuff. And then also too, poor kids, they're as smart as, white kids. I can go on and on and on. It's just the thing is, it's something my scripture says. It's not what goes in that makes you unclean. It's what comes out. So you can't hide how you truly feel about a particular group for too long, especially when you toss in his cognitive decline, right?
Yeah.
The real him is coming out. And so that's why I'm not voting for Joe Biden. His cognitive decline, the fact that he's a Democrat, and then also his track record as a Democrat. And then any person that has aligned themselves with Robert Byrd, you have to be insane to even have a person to put the cherry on the top of insults to say, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. I can't believe he even had the audacity to even have that come out of his mouth and think that it is slightly okay. That is repulsive, my friend. I must tell you that.
So playing devil's advocate. So there have been things, and these things because every time you have a conversation with someone on the other side, they ask you about all the racist things that Trump has said, right? The number one being what? Give me the most racist thing that Trump has said according to the people that you've talked to.
Well, and I have to basically refer back to the Breitbart interview that I did months back, where I was just like, I want these liberals, every time I ask them, tell me, what did Trump say that is completely racist?
And what's the answer?
They cannot tell me.
Oh, come on. Okay. All right. I'm Miss CC. What is the number one thing that people, what is the number, whether they can prove it or not is irrelevant. I want to know. Right. So what is the number one go-to argument that people give as to why they see and believe that Trump is a racist?
Well, there's good people on both sides.
I forgot about that one.
That one and the very
he did say that.
Yeah, he did say that, but that's not the full quote. So what they do is they take a partial, and they don't tell the entire. They don't read the entire statement. They don't report the entire statement. And let's not forget after that, it's just a series of things. Again, not the full quote. And so it's just been so tough. And thank you for playing devil's advocate, because I know that people are watching and they would say, well, Trump did this and Trump has said that and Trump has made statements about this and that. And I lend an ear to that simply because, it's fair to consider both sides. But so many of the actions that people report about Donald Trump, for me, what's relevant to me is when he actually took office. Okay. When he was a rich playboy, that matters not to me. I have nothing to do with his lifestyle before he took office. And so I think that what we have with Joe Biden is someone who has a history, a continued history of dishonesty. We have a continued history of misstatements, misquotes, misstating the facts, a continued history of shoddy behavior, and including his family members, right? We haven't even gotten into Hunter and things like that, but I'll let someone else touch that. Joe Biden has a long track record of lying, misrepresenting, and embellishing information about himself and the events. And I'll be very specific for those who are not aware or maybe only have half the truth. Here are some of his.
SEC is about to do the whole media's job for him.
I got to know the facts. I have to list the facts. Biden said his helicopter was forced down near Osama Blair in Afghanistan. Not true. Biden said he was a coal miner. Not true. Biden said he was shot at in Iraq. Not true. And Biden said he participated in sit-ins at segregated restaurants and movie theaters. Okay. So when Joe Biden ran for president in '88, in the presidential cycle, he was caught lying about his academic record by Newsweek magazine. He confidently and falsely told voters in New Hampshire, okay, that he graduated at the top of his class, that he earned 3 degrees, he won outstanding student in the political science department, and that he went to law school on a full academic scholarship. Okay, Biden actually earned only 1 degree, not 3.
Bottom of his class.
Half a scholarship, not a full one. And he was named outstanding student at the he was not named outstanding student at the political science department. He actually finished near the bottom of his class. Only a couple of days after this revelation, Biden ended his presidential campaign. So, you could say, well, that was way back in '88. And after all, President Trump made the statement about the women and grabbing them by their lady parts. So people have an option to change, and that's so true. But yet I have another list going all the way up into the most recent. If you ain't black if you don't vote for me. So this is, like I said, a continued pattern of dishonesty, misrepresentation, and
my mama told me that when people show you who they truly are,
believe them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And so that's my basic premise, but I have yet another one. We'll get into that because we got a little bit of show to go here. So I want to read a quote from Trump, though. Okay, I want to read a quote from Trump because this is the most racist thing I've ever heard. Okay. Mm-hmm. Unless we do something about this, my children are going to grow up in a jungle. The jungle being a racial jungle with tensions built so high that it is going to explode at some point. We have got to make some move on this. Can you believe that racial bigot? What a racist. Can you believe that? Can you believe that Trump would say something like that? Wasn't him.
And that's the thing. That's the way you have to give it to the liberals. You actually have to spin it in order for them to be honest at first. And then you go, it's not Trump. It's actually Biden.
Right.
Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden. That is a Joe Biden quote. I wanted to make sure that, because I know that the quote has been misquoted. I know, but I wanted to take the actual quote and I wanted to read it. You tell me a single person, myself included, if Trump were to say that, I would be on this very same platform the very same day saying, I condemn that. That is not right. I will not stand for that. Because that is messed up. Trump made a comment. He made a comment that, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? And people lost their dang minds over it. The way he talks to us, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, man. The left talks about dog whistles. They talk about, it was a dog whistle to his far radical right wingers, to the alt right. It was a dog whistle. And this is a foghorn. Like this is an actual foghorn. You tell me if Trump referred to black people or black children or white children being around black children, that they was going to turn their school into a jungle.
Right.
And then you have the nerve to say, if I don't vote for you, I ain't black.
Right.
Man. So explain to me, man. So we have heroes of the black community, like Van Jones, right? Like Whoopi Goldberg, like what's the other one I'm trying to think of? You know, a few others. Jay-Z. Beyonce. We've got LeBron James, Oprah. Okay.
Oprah. Yeah.
Gail. We got all these folks out here, right?
Yeah.
So tell me this. So you brought up, Daren, the 94 crime bill and crack being prosecuted at a higher level than powder cocaine, all right, or other drugs, right? And the jungle comment, right? And Van Jones, okay, so Van Jones earned a small amount of respect from me when, after President Trump put forth the crime bill, not the crime bill. I'm sorry, the prison reform bill, right?
Yeah. That's what I meant.
He went on CNN and he said, "Hey, I have to give. I've criticized this president, but this is historic, and I have to say I am very, very pleased and very thankful for this first step, and I appreciate Jared Kushner being willing to work with me to actually get this done." I thought, you know what, that's mighty big of him to do that.
I agree.
So I appreciate that. But I digress. Where is Van Jones? Where is Whoopi Goldberg? Where are these black leaders decrying how evil of a man that this is and what he has done to black people? Why are we not hearing this from the leaders of the community?
I can definitely tell you. Why. It's because with the Democratic Party, you have to be loyal to master. It's what it is. Yeah, you got to be loyal to. You got to be loyal to Joe Biden. I mean, we're full of cognitive dissonance. We're completely disingenuous towards the facts. As long as you keep us wealthy, you keep our pockets fat, we can definitely keep peddling the slave mentality, the victimhood mentality, and etc. As long as you just keep us wealthy. The reason why they're not talking about Joe Biden is because you alluded to this earlier, Q. Okay, just to say during your intro, when you said that everyone expects blacks to think as a monolith. Sad thing is that blacks even expect blacks to think as a monolith, right? And so that's the reason why you do not have blacks addressing politicians such as Joe Biden, because on the Democrat side, it is the plantation mindsetting. You stay in your place and you let me run your life. And if any of these other blacks get out of lockstep, they break the monolith, you check them, you break them in for master, or master gonna get them. You don't ever criticize master. I'm telling you, man, they remind me so much of a plantation because their ideology comes from a plantation. But yeah, go ahead.
No, man, that's wow. There's nothing I can add to that. There's absolutely nothing I can add to that. Miss CC, so you have been a conservative for a while. And one thing I appreciate about you is you are unapologetic about it, right? Yeah. You're not quiet about it. You don't sugarfoot around. You are, it's out there, right?
Can't afford it.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who have you received the most flack from for being a conservative?
Sure. I've received the most flack from my family, from Black people.
Really?
Yeah, from my people, from Black people. Um, the there needs to be a conversation had in the Black community about being honest. We need an honest conversation, an upfront conversation, and we need to have, we need to admit some things. So the monolithic, the slave mentality that Daren just spoke of, and the monolithic thought, that's very real in the Black community. We don't like to say that, but see, there is an expectation for anyone watching who's not Black, just so you understand what I'm referring to, is that you have to just always go with all things Black. Okay, so you have to vote Black. So if there are two students up for, president, if one is Black and not very, not a good student, and then there's one that's perhaps Hispanic and is an A+ student, very popular, you just vote Black, regardless of their qualifications. This is the expectation, and it's poured into us when we're children. It's poured into us when we're born. And so that is the expectation. And so what you're seeing from a Whoopi and an Oprah and a LeBron is exactly what Daren was talking about. The expectation is that we all vote the same. Same skin to me means that you're kin to me. Okay, it's the thought process. And so we're having a problem with breaking from it. So anyone who's straying from the lockstep is considered a traitor. You're a race traitor. Your Negro card is being rejected. Those kind of things. And so that's what we're fighting. That's what we're up against. What I am particularly proud about is that the Republican Party has recognized that perhaps we haven't been as, maybe accessible as we need it to be. And so if you look at the Republican Party, they're recognizing like, hey, you know what? There have always been people of color who are conservative. And so, you know what? We need to make sure that their voices are heard a lot more. And so that's what's changing. But there have always been conservative people of color. There have always been Hispanic people of color, of conservative values. There have always been Black people with conservative values. It's just that now the Republican Party's been doing a really great job of making sure that those voices are kind of pushed to the forefront and being heard. But there is an absolute expectation in the Black neighborhood, in the Black culture, to just go for all things Black, irregardless of character, irregardless of experience, irregardless of qualifications. If they are Black, that means same skin to me. It means that you're kin to me. And so it's blind loyalty. It's blind allegiance. And that's something that's being broken, and that's what they're having a hard time with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So thank you. Yeah. No, that it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Because I as well, and I think that Daren would probably agree with this, that I have received more flack from people that look like me for being a conservative. And I'll go so far as to say I don't call myself a Republican. I'm not necessarily a Republican, but I am conservative.
Sure.
And I say that because when I saw the Boehners of the world, when I saw the Mitt Romneys of the world, I said, man, I'm not going to be associated with that, right? The John McCains of the world, I'm not going to be associated with that, because that's not conservatism as far as the way that I was taught conservatism was. And so I kind of took a step back from the Republican umbrella, right? And I said, you know what, I'm going to stand for conservative values. Now, do I side with Republicans 90% of the time? Yeah, probably. All right. But I do consider myself to be conservative before any party. But with that being said, so getting back to the top of their ticket, I'm tell me if I'm wrong. I do not believe that they have any expectation of actually winning. I just do not believe it. I do not understand how you have people on your side who are 10 times better candidates. I mean, 10 times better. You go from Barack Obama to Joe Biden. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't love Barack Obama, but at least the man could put together a thought.
Yeah.
At least the man knew he was where he was, right? He was a pretty sharp cat, right? And so I look at that and I think, man, I feel like they've mailed it in. I really do feel like they've mailed it in. But the fact that I am being told, and many people are going to be going to are planning to go to vote or send in their ballot or whatever it might be, and just going with business as usual because that's the way they've been told to vote. I want to speak to that person. I want to speak to that person who is planning on going out and voting for Joe Biden because they don't feel that they have any other choice.
Sure.
Because that's the way I've been told to do it. That's the way the media said to do it. I don't have any other options. I want you first, Daren, I want you to speak to that person. And then Cece, I want you to speak to that person.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But even before I speak to that person, Q, I just want to say this. Barack Obama was really good at hiding his card. He was maniacal. He was sadistic. He achieved his mission. He really did, was to destroy America. And so what we see right now, it's definitely a result of Barack Obama, the chaos and the civil, I should say, upheaval that's in our country. So he achieved this mission. Yeah, it's just the thing is Joe Biden, he's not good at hiding his cards. That's all. And he also lacks charisma. Absolutely. But to the person who feels that they have no other choice but to vote for Biden, that should speak volumes to you. And I think, because I'm very candid, so let me just say this. I think it's really sad that a person even feels that way, that the only option they have is Joe Biden. A person that flip-flops on issues, a person that has a proven track record to be feckless, a person who's definitely in bed with China, who's on record for quid pro quo, exactly. And then also a person that is just willing to pander just to win. No integrity whatsoever. And then also, I have to say it again, his cognitive decline. If you feel that that's the only person you have to vote for, I have to say this. Something must be wrong with you as a voter, because if you believe that Joe Biden is the only person that you can vote for, and you know that there is Donald Trump, and you have not looked into his policies, and yet you have looked into Joe Biden's policies as far as upping your taxes, taxing the people who actually create the jobs over 70%. Do you know how dangerous that is? Raising your taxes on the middle and low class. I mean, that's asinine. And then talking about socialized healthcare. Do you know how terrible that is? Over in places, let's just say the EU, okay? Let's take that for instance. Do you know how long it takes just for you to even have a surgery that is life-saving? And don't you know that when you even get the surgery, because they're so cookie cutter, that you may not get the adequate treatment? And you're overly taxed. It's asinine to me that a person actually considers themselves to be an informed voter, and they're not. An informed voter looks at both parties and their policies, and they're informed on their policies. That way they can make an educated decision. But a person to feel as if that Joe Biden is the only option that they have, that person, I have to say this, and it's not to offend anyone, it just shows to me that that person is willingly ignorant by choice, of course, and they truly do not really care about politics. They truly do not care about the state, or to just say the welfare of this country. And due to the fact it's for inaction, people, you have to educate yourselves so that way you're not blindsided You have to educate yourselves so that you can know when a person has a destructive policy. If you're not educated on that, I will tell you this: don't vote then. Just don't vote. I will just say that. And I don't even like to say that, because when you look at American history, blacks and white slave abolitionists, they fought and died so that I can vote and other people. But it's sad that I have to tell a person who feels that the only choice they have is Joe Biden due to their own ignorance. I would tell you, don't even vote then. You'll be doing America, basically a great job if you just don't vote, if you don't want to vote for Trump. That's a little long-winded. I apologize.
Hey man, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. I can't tell any people that I've spoken to, especially with these. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations, and I was having conversations before blexit, but I've definitely stepped up my conversation game, right? As far as just meeting people where they are, right? Engaging with people, and I don't have time to get into arguments with people or try to win them to my side.
Right.
But I just been wanting to have conversations and find out, okay, this is what you believe. Why though?
Right.
Why do you believe it? Not in a confrontational way, but why though?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you what I believe and I can tell you why I believe it. But man, I don't ever want to believe in something that can't stand up to scrutiny.
Right.
I don't. I don't want to believe anything that I can't defend, right? Because that's where hypocrisy comes from.
Exactly.
So as far as you go, Miss CC, I know you have a passion for people, and you have a passion for conservative values.
Yeah.
Tell me this. So what do you have to say? Because, you know, I'm sure you'll be more compassionate than Daren. he can be a little militant at times, you know. Don't vote then.
Don't vote. You'll do America a huge favor, but just don't vote.
Just stay at home then. I'm joking.
I believe that. Thank you, though, Daren. We appreciate that. Quentin, I'm like you in that I like to engage in conversation, and I just like to ask questions and get people to answer why. I like to get people to, give the answer those questions and explain their positions. I would say to that person who feels that they have to or feel obligated to vote for Joe Biden to, one, look at his history. It's all available to you, which is really great. I was able to find a whole lot with regard to his lying, his misrepresentation, and his embellishment of information. That was easy to find. I would also challenge them to use their common sense. The natural person is actually, we are naturally conservative. If you ask a person if they believe that they should get something for nothing, the majority of people will say, no, I believe you should have to work for it or do something for it. And so I would ask them to explain their position. I would then have them look at Joe Biden, think about his 47 years and what he's actually accomplished. I would challenge them to recall him during the debates when we were considering the next Democratic candidate. I would ask them to, explain to me how they feel about his cognitive decline, if they feel that that's something very real, if they really truly feel that Joe Biden has the cognitive fortitude to run this country, considering all of its challenges for the next 4 years, or if they believe that Kamala Harris will have to actually step in. I would ask them to look at, think about his pandering. Those comments, you ain't black, and the cockroaches in the legs and things like that, and those things. I would have them just really look at it, and I would just simply ask them to explain it to me. I simply want, I have to do it for Donald Trump. I would challenge them to do it for Joe Biden. And so I would ask them to think about the current issues right now. Everyone is, people want to feel safe. The simple fact is that we do have riots in the streets. People do feel unsafe. Defund the police was a it was a chant, it was a theme for the Democratic Party this summer after George Floyd. And so I would challenge them to look at that. How has that panned out for you? All of a sudden now there's a complete 180. How do you explain that? Do you feel safe? And if you question any of those things, then I would say that more than likely you should absolutely consider changing your vote or engage in conversation with someone who's conservative to further discuss those issues, because by all means, this is by far, in my opinion, the most important election we've had in, if not the most important, for sure, the most important in decades. America is at stake. And so you need to be able to stand up to scrutiny. You have to answer those tough questions. And for me, that's what I do. And it tends to lead me in the right direction. And again, I have to answer questions about Donald Trump all the time. I feel great about those answers. I believe he's absolutely able to stand up to scrutiny. This is someone who speaks off script. He is tireless in visiting cities. He answers tough questions from the press. He doesn't back down. And he has a lot of support for a very good reason. And the enthusiasm for Donald Trump is not from a group of ignorant, stupid, racist people. These are people who absolutely believe that this is a man who puts America first, who absolutely cares about the protections of my family, about my religious freedoms, and my right to protect myself and my home and my future, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, is what we think about. And so answer those questions, have a real conversation, answer those questions. I believe you will. I do believe you will. Once you get in that booth, I believe you might tend to just fall to the right side. So, yeah.
Oh man. Excellent.
Yeah.
Soda, are you there?
I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you. I think we have a couple of super chats we need to get through real fast.
We do.
Real fast before we move on to the next, of course.
First up, our favorite Auntie Venom for $2. Let me go ahead and earn your frustration and say, I don't think the jungle comment is racist. Oh boy. I neither was swigging my drink. And up next, David Harris for $10. Have you all ventured into explaining why you are conservative to fellow Black family members, community members? That's something I struggle with doing.
That's an excellent question.
That's an excellent question. We're gonna tackle. Is that the last one, Soder?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, we're gonna tackle that one, but first, let me address Anna Venom because I know he's watching. All right.
Yay!
So, I know that I made a mistake once. Okay, I hope that you marked it down on your calendar and you circled it because it doesn't happen often. Okay. And when it comes to this particular standpoint, let's say it wasn't racist. All right, I'll meet you halfway. Let's say it wasn't racist.
Sure.
Do you honestly believe that if Trump had said the exact same thing verbatim, that he would get the benefit of the doubt? Do you honestly believe that he would get the benefit of the doubt if Trump made the exact same gaffe? Okay. So I personally find it offensive. I personally think it was racist, but that's fine. We don't have to necessarily agree on that. But do you feel that Trump would get the exact same benefit of the doubt? Number two, when you have a person who has a track record of making these types of insensitive gaffes, at some point you have to wonder, why do they feel so comfortable making these types of gaffes? Why is it they continue to, because you're going to be dealing with someone who has to deal with China, to deal with Iran, to deal with North Korea. If they are making these types of gaffes in reference to their own people, do you truly trust them to go out and to make good foreign policy decisions? That's where I would go with it. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to Anna Venom. Venom is probably one of the more conservative people on the show. But he does like to be contrary, and typically is contrary. But for those people who are out there who would feel similarly, those are my questions to you, and you can answer those questions honestly to yourself. Are you there, Daren?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you're frozen on my screen, so I wasn't.
Oh, really?
Okay, yeah, you're good now. For some reason, you were just stuck there like you were deep in thought. I was like, man, this brother is really funny. So, but let's address the other question. Read that question one more time, Soder.
All right, let me bring it back up. Have you all ventured into explaining why you are conservative to fellow Black family members, community members? That's something I struggle with doing.
Okay.
Well, Harris, not me.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for the clarification.
You're welcome.
And Soder does have many Black family members, in all fairness, so he it could have been from him. So, all right. So
why are you doxing me?
If you feel like that's some information that someone could then turn around and use against you negatively, then I guess. But all right, so Miss Cece, let's start with you, because I think that's a question I would like both of you guys to answer. Have you tried to explain to your family members why you are conservative? And then secondly, is that the question was how? I believe it was.
The question is, have you ventured into explaining why?
Okay.
That, and the last part is, that's something that Harris has a problem with. He struggles with doing it. It isn't a question.
Okay, so my question would be, have you, or how do you, and how do you?
Sure. So I made the first attempt in 2016 over text, and that just didn't go well. And because Trump won, I just decided let it go, and I let his victory speak for me. But this past summer, I tried to explain my position and I was just attacked from all sides. And what I did was, what I talked about in my last answer was, I tried to engage them in conversation and asking questions. Okay, how are you better after Democrats have been in office? How, what are your issues? Why is, talking about father absence and those statistics, talking about school choice and comprehensive and math skills for Black children across America. Is particularly in Democratic cities, discussing issues with, police violence and things like that, just asking questions, and then making statements about with regard to comparison of the Democratic versus the conservative or Republican platform. And so those came down to issues on how I feel about socialism, came down to issues on how I feel about abortion, school choice, the right to protect myself and my family, religious freedoms. And in those, constitutionally, which is really interesting, we all agreed. Where we separated, in fact, they agreed with father absence and school choice and all those other things. Where they separate is emotionally how they feel about Donald J. Trump. And so the focus is always how I feel about Trump, not necessarily the platform. So what they're doing is they're voting against Trump, not necessarily voting their values. And that's where there's a separation. And so that's why you need to ask the questions and get them to understand Donald J. Trump can only serve at the most 8 years. Once he's out of office, another conservative will be in office. Those values will remain. And so you're voting values, you're not voting the person. And so they still just are focused on Trump. But, asking those questions and trying to get them to just detach from their emotions to answer those very specific questions, and trying to get them to understand, hey, you actually have conservative values just like I do. Why are you not voting your values?
Hmm. That's good. That's good. That's excellent. I'm man. I want to get to you, Daren, because I know that you have been walking this walk for a long time. So I want you to get a chance to answer that question. But I want to point to something very quickly. We are. I'm excited. Okay. I'm not upset. I'm not. And conservatives got to get off this thing, man. They really got to get off this thing where everybody's nervous and walking on eggshells. I feel and I know and I believe in my heart of hearts that we are on the side of right. Okay. Both emotionally, both spiritually, both physically. I believe that we are on the side of right in this time. Okay. I am encouraged because as I spoke the other day, as I sat down and tried to watch the first football game of the season, and the whole Black Lives Matter thing, came about, and my 9-year-old looks at that, and my 9-year-old shakes his head and he says, "Really, football now? Really? When does this end? Where do we get away from this? Like Black Lives Matters and football now?"
Wow.
And I watched the disgust on my 9-year-old's face, right? Because he associates Black Lives Matter with burning buildings. He associates Black Lives Matter with disrespect of the police. He associates Black Lives Matter with the Democrat Party. Okay. And fortunately, he also associates Black Lives Matter at 9 with Marxism, right?
Sure.
So I've got a pretty woke 9-year-old, right? But the good part about it is this: we are not entering into another year of elections where we are allowing the other side to bring an emotional argument, to talk about what could happen or how we feel. No. We are literally watching on our TVs. We are watching online. We are watching with our own 2 eyes. We are watching 2 Americas. We are watching an America of lawlessness. We are watching an America where emotions run the country as opposed to truth and logic running the country. And we're getting a chance to see if Democrats had their way, because I'm going to just go ahead and say, you don't see any of this stuff happening in red run cities. Okay.
Right.
You don't see any of these things happening in red states. Okay.
Right.
This stuff is only happening in blue states, in blue cities. Okay. So
Yeah.
let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
So you are getting a chance to see on a national level what happens when you turn over the keys to America to Democrats. There's no question. There is no, this isn't hypothetical. This is real life stuff. So I believe 20% of what I hear, but I believe 80% of what I see. And what I'm seeing is a mess. And if we want to destroy this thing further, we hand over the keys. Soda, I hear you.
Sorry.
You're fine. We hand over the keys to Joe Biden. But if we want to see America get better for all Americans, well, I feel like we only have one choice. But let's go to, are you there, Daren?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, all right. You're frozen again on my side, but
He just sits really still.
Okay, he's a man deep in thought. So the question originally was, have you attempted to speak to your family about why you're conservative? And I entered the last part. How?
Well, yeah. So I have to tell you, so there's 2 parts of my family, right? You got the gangbang mafia side, and then you got the Republican side of my family, right? When I was growing up, I was only exposed to that gangbanging mafia side, right? And then the Republican side had come at a funeral because they were paying for the funerals, right? Now that when I think in retrospect, right?
Okay.
No one on this side had money. The one uncle on this side always had the money. He was the go-to. That's my Uncle Buddy. Love you, man. So the thing is this. I talked to the right people about it in my family. My mother, she was a diehard Democrat. Now she's going to be voting conservative for the first time in her life.
Wow.
And then one of my other cousins. So here's the thing. Quentin hit the nail on the head earlier, where I don't believe in trying to proselytize. I don't believe in casting my pearl before swine. I don't believe in trying to throw seed on a ground that hasn't been tilled. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's not my job to try to convince someone to be a conservative. A conservative is a conservative by choice. Not the same for a Democrat. See, if I decide to tell my conservative family, just the conservatives period in general, if I were to tell my conservative family, I want to leave conservatism, I'm not forced to remain a conservative. If I was a Democrat now, I was a liberal, and I tell them I decided to become conservative. Oh, no. There's a problem. You better not even think about trying to become a conservative. That's how it was with my family. I've never, ever aligned myself with their politics. But see, in this part of my family I was exposed to, they always wanted to sit around the table and talk about how corrupt politicians are, period, in general. And I'm like, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
But can you give me an answer to why the Black community seems to be stagnant? How come the Black community has so much self-hatred? How come in the Black community there's so much crime, high incarceration rates? I mean, gangs. Why are Blacks predominantly in gangs? How come Blacks drop out of school? How come there's no fathers? Do you have an answer for that? Can never ever get an honest conversation, as CC talked about. You can never have that honest conversation. I was willing to, but they weren't. And the thing is, we all agree that, I hate to say this, but the thing is, though, you guys, what makes me so controversial is that I tell a controversial truth, even if it's unfortunate. I believe society today, we have become too, let's just say, just too comfortable with being, just say, mediocre with our emotional maturity. I like to tell the inconvenient truths. And one of the inconvenient truths is that what's consistent, or I can say what's prevalent with being a Democrat, is a lack of emotional maturity. When you can't acknowledge the facts for as they are, that shows that you have a lack of character, and also emotional maturity, and also a lack of spiritual maturity. You have to lack those things in order to remain a Democrat. When you start to grow in those things, you become a conservative. So it's not your job, first of all, to the people to go out and proselytize. It is your job, though, to model conservatism, to make them question their own belief system. Because remember, even a prophet is not respected in his own town. Now, I'm not saying like, you talk to God or anything like that. But what I mean by that is that because you come from them and you have more insightfulness and they know it, they're not going to admit it because they're too disingenuous. And they do not have that emotional maturity to be like, you know what? You're right. I need to dump my presuppositions or my false sense of security and grasp onto this truth. They're not ready for it. But if you model conservatism, they will become ready for it, because I didn't talk politics to my mom. I had to change my life. And then the way that I modeled conservatism made my mom curious, then made my cousin curious. And so they reached out of the darkness into the light, and I grabbed their hands and I pulled them into the light. Some people aren't meant for you to proselytize to. Some people are meant for you to be a silent witness. And what I mean by that is you just live your life and love them from a distance, but make sure that you let them see your transformation, or you let them see your conservatism. I had to go into a transformation because I grew up a liberal, but I never voted Democrat. So that's why I use the word transformation.
There you go. So again, I can play any game. and I can win any game. I just need to know what the rules are. Okay. And so I will play this game of politics the same way that the left plays the game. All right.
Yeah.
So they've set the rules. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'll play your game. But it has to be consistent, right?
Mhm.
We have to have consistency across the board.
Right.
Mhm.
So with that being said, I am a firm believer in not bringing kids into the political arena, but Hunter Biden is no kid. Okay. This is a grown man that has made terrible, terrible decisions. But rather than his father being a man of character, because I'll be honest, when my kids mess up and they do something wrong, I don't stand in public and stand up for my child. I don't condone their wrongdoing. Okay. But I've seen the left attack the Trump children over and over and over again, and I will give them credit.
Mhm.
They have served the country well, and
Mhm.
they have done nothing. They brought nothing but pride to their family's name. Unlike Hunter Biden, okay? This is a man who, I'm going to tell you guys this. If you guys want to, those of you guys out there listening, if you guys ever want to simplify your life, know this. Democrats do not make accusations. They make confessions. When they accuse
I like that.
someone of doing something, it
Mm.
is a confession. What have we heard? Trump colluded with Russia. Trump colluded with the Ukraine. When in actuality,
Ooh.
was it Trump that was colluding with Russia? Or was it Joe Biden
Yeah.
that was colluding with Russia? Was it Trump that was colluding with Ukraine? Or quid pro quo, as we say? It was Joe Biden that got on that off that plane and said, unless you fire this guy who is looking into my son, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm leaving in 2 hours. Make your decision. Now, that sounds like quid pro quo to me. I'm not a lawyer. We could definitely get a lawyer on here. But from the explanation that I was given by the mainstream media of what quid pro quo meant, that sounds like textbook quid pro quo. Okay. Then we now today, out of the New York Post, we're being told that a lot of money was being sent from the United States to the Ukraine, also to Russia, in order to fund known sex traffickers and prostitution rings from not one of the Trump children, but once again, Hunter Biden, a man who was kicked out of the Navy for drug usage, a man who has children out of wedlock, but does not want to claim them or pay child support. Again, I was not one who liked to bring kids into this, but I think it shows an incredible lack of character for a father to use his name, use his influence to get his child jobs on with what Burisma, right? To get him on boards making millions of dollars in fields that he is not qualified for, but then to turn around and to tell us that he has the ability to run this country ethically when nothing about this man is ethical. Nothing about his family is ethical either. So for him to stand up and attempt to take a moral high ground and to choose to have some type of a moral compass that our president doesn't have is laughable, And it's also, I'll be honest, it's very demeaning because this man is going to tell me that I am not black if I don't vote for him, but then also tell me that he is a bastion of truth. None of those things are true. None of those things are true. But what did the media say? He plays hard and fast with the truth. Does he not, Cece?
Oh boy, you said so much there. That was so loaded. I love that statement. Will have to, I'm going to have to keep that one. That one's, I'll give you a, I'll give you credit and a footnote, but that was really great. I got to tell you, you're right. Hunter is no kid. And I think that what we need to keep in mind is that should Joe Biden take office, we get that, we get Hunter, we get Joe Biden's past, we get the pandering. We're going to inherit all of that. And so, yeah, he does play hard and fast with the truth. I really feel that truth is just not even, it's just not even a virtue of his. I believe that Joe Biden very much behaves very much like Kamala. They have that in common, in that statements are made in order to advance their political careers, just to, obtain position, whatever that happens to be at the time. I'm left with this, you guys, is that two things are really sticking with me, that's really hanging with me tonight, is that we have to have honest conversations. There has been an awakening in the Black community, and we have to admit that we have been emotional, right? We have been emotional. We have been easily led. We have accepted the handouts. We have, allowed the pandering. We have, bowed down to low expectations. We have not lived up to our full potential. That's just the truth. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. Thank you, Dr. Phil, for that quote. But it's true. You simply cannot change what you won't acknowledge. Number two, I agree with you, Quentin, in that I do truly feel in my heart that I'm on the right side, because I'm voting my values. And at the end of the day, all of us, regardless of what side you're on, you have to vote your values. You're not voting a personality. You're not voting if someone is an eloquent orator or not. You're not voting if you like the way they look or feel, or if they, like the way they dress or their fashion sense. What you're voting is our values. You take your values, you weigh them in, you pick the candidate that most closely resembles your values, and you take that and you check that box when you get into that ballot. This is something that happens only once every 4 years. You are obligated as a citizen of the United States to do your research, okay? So that you go in fully knowledgeable. You have to fully understand who your candidate is, understand their background, understand what their values are, and understand how they're going to impact this great nation we call the United States. And so for someone to have been so loose with truth, has been so dishonest and misleading and not worthy of trust from the American people, I simply cannot. I would never vote for Joe Biden. I would not consider him. I consider him a human being. I have absolute respect for him as a person. But this man, with regard to truth, it simply does not line up. I can't feel good about it. And I really, truly challenge people to really check your values and not weigh in on someone's personality, but check your values. Please vote your values. That you can leave that ballot box and feel really good about your vote.
There you go.
Yeah.
And if you don't educate yourself before you go, what do you do, Daren?
Just don't vote.
Yeah. Yep. If you're not going to vote for Trump, don't vote.
Just don't vote.
Oh my goodness, man. Oh, I love it, man. I love it. One of the
Quentin, really quickly, is that a lot of people watching, we're faith people, right? You and I and Daren are faith people, but there are people who are secular who are not faith people. But if you're voting your values, you still can make the right choice. Okay. So if I weren't born again, I'll tell you what I would do. I'd get born again right away. But if you choose not to, okay, you have that right. That's what's great about America. You still vote your values. You vote for the candidate that best lines up with your values. So There it is.
Well said. Well said. Daren, one of the things that I find offensive also is this. Okay. Um, Joe Biden comes out before he even gets the nomination ahead of time and says, I'm going to choose a woman, and I'm going to choose a woman of color, right? As though it's some kind of a prize that he is going to bestow on some welfare case, right? And then when he does, he gets, I would have rather him get Cardi B than this trash that he chose. Okay. Because and then afterwards, I get these people coming out, seeing me out in public. What do you think about Kamala Harris? Well, if you have enough time, I'll tell you what I think about Kamala Harris. I am completely offended, since, the other side is always offended over something. I'm completely offended that the Ben Carsons of the world are looked at as being Uncle Toms, and they're talked about as Uncle Toms and race traitors. That the Clarence Thomases of the world, these great Black men at that, that they are run down and spoken of, and to borrow Clarence Thomas's phrase, high tech lynched, right? These wonderful people who have risen up from incredible struggles to rise to very high offices and accomplish great things. Those are the people that, you shouldn't listen to them. They're awful people. But you bring us this trash. You bring us a woman who didn't get to where she got by being the best and the brightest. She got there by lying, cheating, committing adultery, and in imprisoning. So we talked about Joe Biden and his crime bill, okay? But we didn't talk about where his goons that were enforcing his crime bill. Goons like Kamala Harris. Goons that would go out, and if there wasn't enough evidence to put somebody away, they would falsify evidence to put those people away. Hard time, hard sentences. And then you have the unmitigated gall to come back to me and say that if I don't vote for you and your trash, then I ain't Black. I'm offended by that. I'm offended by that. I'll go so far as to say I'm angered by that, because I'm supposed to be too stupid to realize the game that you're playing, right? But let me ask you, Daren, do you feel, and maybe I'm just being too in my feelings, right? Maybe I'm, as my kids would say, Dad, you too in your feels right now, all right? Maybe I'm getting too in my feelings, but do you understand where I'm coming from? And do you feel that in this situation, how do you feel about him coming out and saying, I'm going to vote, I'm going to bring in a candidate, I'm going to bring in a Black female? How do you feel about that?
As we all agreed upon earlier, I mean, he's definitely good at pandering, right? Then also too, I mean, the racial politics, but even when they were debating, when they were going against each other, she called him a racist.
She sure did.
She presented concrete evidence for it. But Quentin, there's something that you mentioned too, and that I want to dive into and just expound upon as well, is that her record and Biden's are almost the same when it comes to the treatment of the Black community, right? I mean, she falsified evidence. She withheld exculpatory evidence. That means that evidence that proved that this person is true. She withheld this information. There's one guy in particular, she let this dude, and she knew he was innocent, let him sit in prison for almost 20 years. And that was, come to find out, that's one of Sean King's friends, but Tacom X, one of Tacom X's friends, right? And so it trips me out that, and see, this goes back into what we all agreed upon too, off record, is that the way that the Democrats have been getting away, committing these grave, these egregious atrocities, okay, these transgressions against the Black community, is through the psychological manipulation. In order to psychologically manipulate someone, you have to control their emotions, correct?
Yes, sir.
You have to keep them in a childlike phase. And all they have to do is say racism against a conservative, and they're completely forgiven of their failed policies. See, Harris is definitely that, because we know them, because we know their history. Now watch this. Mark my words. We're looking at Ms. Harris here, right? And I'm gonna give her that due respect, okay? Because I mean, she's called all kind of names and et cetera. And plus, I think her first name, the way it's pronounced, I don't like it. But anyway, so it's just as with Ms. Harris. I bet you this, CC and Q. Watch. She's gonna jump right on the bandwagon. She's gonna just resort to the same tactics, same methodology. Donald Trump is a racist. Any person that supports Donald Trump is a racist. I renege on everything that I said about Biden, because remember, it's all about pandering, and you cannot attack the master. You can attack the master when it comes to the Democrat Party. And you guys, I'm not saying it's necessarily the master has to be the Caucasian. No, the master can also be a black, Obama kind of, or just had a status of like Obama on the Democratic Party, can be a black too. But the thing is, you can attack the master. And so that completely absolves them of all their guilt. And they're coming back now to their plantation, and they're telling their slaves, look, I haven't failed you whatsoever. I got another or a better slave owner, and she looks like you. So the thing is, she's going to help you to fall in line, because it's all about optics. And I want you to see her. And also, too, I want to tug at your heartstrings, because she, Q, is she African American or is she Native?
She's both. She's both. It all depends on what she needs to be at the time.
Exactly.
I thought it was the other Indian.
Exactly. And you know why I say that she's going to be a better slave owner? Is because you can ask her grandfather.
Ooh. Ooh. Is that a mic drop moment?
So that's what I think about her.
She has a lot of experience with plantations, doesn't she?
Exactly.
It's just the family business, man.
And can we be honest?
What's
if
up?
You want to talk about what's truly a plantation in the United States, which two states are more of a plantation? You're gonna say California. That's where she comes from, right? Then you're also gonna say New York.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, no wonder why she's so good at basically having a plantation. You just got to ask her grandfather. It runs in the family. And she aligned herself with Joe Biden, who aligned himself with the Grand Wizard from the KKK. It runs in the Democratic family.
It's all in the family. Well, I tell you what. So
ouch.
So I tell you what, man. So we've come to the conclusion. I've come to the conclusion. I can't speak for my esteemed panel. That Trump, barring any felonious acts, okay, will be the next president of these United States. But then we got to look forward to 2024, right? I mean, this isn't checkers. This is chess, right? So we got to look forward to 2024. So I'm going to ask you, Miss CC, if you could unilaterally make the decision and nominate the Republican nominee, who would it be?
I nominate Candace Owens.
Candace Owens. Okay. Why?
Why is because I believe that Donald Trump has laid the foundation. And I think now we are ready for that that conservative person who is going to continue with sticking to facts, with maintaining his accomplishments, with keeping the Constitution at the forefront of our focus, with consideration of future generations, and preserving those all of those principles that keep America great. And so she has a record. She has the fortitude. She has the mouth. She has the gumption. She has, the boldness to where it would be really difficult to debate her. And so I think we finally will get someone who a Democratic, anybody that's Democrat to go up against her to rival her would pretty much fail in comparison. And so Donald Trump laid the foundation, but we're going to now need someone to continue what he has started, but someone who will absolutely stick to the facts and continue to forge on what he has started for us. And so that to me is Candace Owens, not because she's Black woman conservative. It's not about politics. It's about someone who's going to have the fortitude and who is going to be bold enough to stand against all things blue, all things liberal. That to me right now, the boldest person I see is Candace Owens.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Daren. Same question.
CC took Candace Owens. And for all the very reasons that she said, let's be honest. Democrat, Republican, pastor, talk show host, Washington establishment, whatever. You can toss that Candace, they can't beat her. Period. She's almost untouchable. I've never seen someone so untouchable. It's scary. Mm-hmm. So if it's scary to me, imagine how scary it is to the Democratic Party, right? Mm-hmm. But as I told the base, that she said that she is unsure. That's better than having a no. You get what I'm saying? It's better than having a no. So the thing is this, but I want to be a realist. Okay, so CC took Candace. So let's go to the second person who I would definitely pick, who I believe would be a perfect fit. But also, I just want to kind of just add a little game plan to this to ensure the victory for this second person, right? For one, to keep the party together, right? To give us the sure win, the Republican Party is going to have to align, okay, unanimously behind this one person, the same way we're doing it with Trump, right?
Okay. All right.
It's a couple people, okay, I believe would definitely almost be as effective as Candace. You got Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro. I would love to see Ben Shapiro run. I mean, wow. Okay. Look at Q. He like, I don't know. But I'm just saying, it's because it's Ben Shapiro, the man. He can be well thought out. But the thing I don't like about him is that he's a never Trump.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, how are you so intelligent and you don't realize brilliance in your presence? So that's my hang up with him. And so I'm gonna have to go back to the first person I said. I'm gonna have to go with Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk, he has a better composure than Trump, and also a better vernacular than Trump. But the thing is, though, as far as economics, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But then again, if he doesn't know, Charlie Kirk is good at finding out the answer, right? And so that's why I'm going to have to go with Charlie Kirk over everybody else, even Donald Trump Jr., okay, Ivanka, Mike Pence. The reason why I'm going with Charlie Kirk is because he's younger, so he's going to resonate with more people than Mike Pence, right? Charlie Kirk Also, too, Mike Pence is hardcore Christian. That's a turnoff for a lot of people in the GOP who aren't Christian. And remember, I want to keep the GOP united behind one person, so that way we can ensure the victory. And so I'm going to have to go with Charlie Kirk as my second pick because Candace Owens has already been taken. So that's the reason why I want to go with Charlie Kirk, is because his intellect, the boy is sharp. I mean, you can't put him in a corner. He puts you in a corner. And he actually leaves you with your dignity intact after he's done slapping you around and hitting you with the table and breaking the dishes over your head too. You get what I'm saying? And then he'll actually make you sit at the table and eat and then just send you on your way. So I'm basically referring to diplomacy. He'll be awesome for diplomacy. And I believe he'll have that fortitude too as well to get the things done. But I think he'll be a lot more tactful and more subtle in his approaches. So that means that his likability to go through the roof, even pull people from the Democratic Party or these emotionally, immature liberals. I think Charlie Kirk would basically resonate with them a lot better, because at the end of the day, you do want the conservative side to grow, not because of it's going to benefit us personally, is because it's going to benefit the greater good of the country. And we want the country to go in the right direction, right? And so I'm going to have to go with Charlie Kirk for those reasons.
Okay. Fair enough. Sorry, man. I have this inability to keep my face straight.
You wear it on your face, Quentin.
He had a visceral reaction too towards Ben Shapiro.
Like, when you said Ben Shapiro,
Really quickly though, I think that Candace being, because I said not because she's Black female, but I think that would play into her favor with regard to blue voters. I believe that.
Yes.
Because they love identity politics, I think she would be enough to sway some blue votes onto her way, and they can still feel like, hey, I'm not racist.
That's right.
All right. Soder.
Yes.
Soder.
Are you asking me the question, or you want me to read?
No, I'm asking you the question, because this is either going to be incredibly enlightening or incredibly funny. So,
could it be both?
It could be both. Hey,
I hope it's both.
Daren Slater made me laugh when he said Ben Shapiro. So yeah, it could be both. So who would it be?
I would nominate Nicholas Rekieta.
Okay.
Why? There's several reasons. One, he'd be the first Black president, or second Black president of the United States. Two, he'd be the first openly gay president of the United States.
My goodness.
Three, he really doesn't want the position, so it would be hilarious. Four, he would bring back the fireside chats. Every night he would be live streaming. People would be sending super chats. We'd all be laughing. It'd be great.
You're right. This is funny.
I asked, and so joke's on me.
Of course.
Okay, so since Daren got two, I'm gonna get two. First one, tongue in cheek, the Hodge twins. That would be fantastic to have twins as the president and vice president. Would be fantastic. We would never know which one we were hearing from, right? So that would be fantastic. A president that was born with his own body double is pretty cool to me. So that would be fantastic. But and honest, man, I really, really like. Do you guys know John James?
I'm not too familiar with his policies.
He ran for Senate out in Detroit or in Michigan. He is a decorated Army pilot, flew Blackhawks. He is extremely conservative. Came home from the military to run his dad's company, and took it from basically a $10 million operation to over $100 million operation. So he is a businessman. I don't think we should go away from that anytime soon. With the fiscal issues that we have in the United States, I think we do need to keep someone that is has a business mind in the White House. The other thing that I like about someone who has a business mind is that it seems as though they treat the American people like their customer, right?
Yeah.
Everybody gets upset because Trump's always talking about my poll numbers, my poll numbers. You have to understand, man, this is a guy who looks at poll numbers similarly to a restaurant owner looking at their Yelp reviews, right?
Yeah.
They want to know what people are saying about their restaurant. Why?
Yeah.
Because if they don't like it, we need to fix something. There's a problem, right? And so I appreciate the fact, again, it can get annoying. Is Trump the best speaker? No. Does he always say the right thing? No.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen in past administrations what great words will give you with crappy actions following.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So we've seen the guy who comes in and woos us with words and then leaves us in a worse situation than where we started. So I really couldn't care less about how a person speaks. I care about what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to talk about policy, if we want to talk about what this man has accomplished, then I am more than willing to have that discussion and have that conversation. So Stevie James, he took a shot at you, Daren, which, you know, whatever. He's laughing at the Trump stuff you have in the background. He said that's a joke. Hey man, I love you.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not a joke that we keep winning each and every time, but yeah, I mean.
So you know, I'm glad that you can laugh about losses. I mean, anybody that can take L's and keep laughing about it is, hey man, all right in my book. So, but love to have you on the show. I've invited him a few times. He's never been willing to come on the show, but I'd love to have you come on and we can talk about policy. I don't want to talk about emotions. I don't want to talk about how Trump makes you feel. I want to talk about how Trump has failed you as an American and how your life was better off under Barack Obama's administration, but worse off under the Trump administration. I would love to have that discussion. And whenever you're ready to have it, let me know. I will do a midnight stream.
Oh yeah, let me show some more Trump stuff too.
Oh my goodness. Hey, Daren says it's all
Winning.
about that Trump drip.
The drip. The Trump
That drip. All right. So so I would say John James. Daniel Cameron is another one that people talked about.
My goodness.
What? Daniel Cameron is another people talk about. Are you laughing at Daniel Cameron? Or are you laughing at
We're laughing at this Trump drip that continues. Yeah.
It just keeps coming. Yeah, don't make this man switch like all 12 of his Trump hats. He'll do a straight wardrobe change. So, but guys, thank you guys so much for joining. I hope that this has been helpful. I know there's a lot of people that start, especially when it comes to conservatives. And not just a black thing. I mean, I've talked to a lot of friends of mine that are. I had a friend of mine who contacted me today, and he told me, he says, "You know what, man?" He says, "I'm going to vote for a Republican for the first time in my life." He said, I've never done it." He said, "And I never thought that the first Republican I'd be voting for would be Trump." He said, "But I'm not necessarily voting for Trump because I think he's a great person. I'm voting for Trump because I'm watching what's going on in the world, and I can't imagine a Democrat running the country. Because now I finally see what they actually stand for."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I thought, man? Amen.
Great.
Amen, man. Because people are watching. People are watching, and they're waking up to it. So we have a couple more. I'm gonna let you guys go. I know you guys have busy evenings ahead of you, and I appreciate you guys coming on and having this discussion with us. We went a little bit long, but I got a couple. We have a couple of super chats that we need to get through real fast. Soda, are you there?
I'm here, just sitting really still.
Okay, all right.
Our first up, we have Peter Pete for $5. Ben Shapiro cares for Israel more than Americans. He's willing to send Americans to war to fight for a foreign country. That sounds a little bit neo-Nazi-ish to me. And finally, the Derpy Jew for $5. Soder, shipping with Care Bears, shipping with He-Man, featuring Dante from Devil May Cry series. Oh, it's not going to end, is it?
It's not. It's not. You are officially.
No, I did to that man.
I'm not sure, but you know what? The fact that he is continuing to troll you.
People wondered how did Hitler come to power?
Well, and he continues to send super chats in order to do it. So you know what?
Yeah, hey, it's the really weird part.
Keep them coming, Derpy.
Is he the George Soros?
Yeah, Derpy Jew. Don't dox Derpy Jew. Derpy Jew is actually George Soros. That's crazy. All right. Well, hey, you guys have a fantastic night. Thank you guys for joining the show. We'll have to do this again. I had a fantastic time. It's always great sitting down and visiting with like-minded people. We are all three of us on the board for Blexit, Minnesota. And Daren, how are we doing as far as Blexit goes?
Oh, yeah.
How are we doing?
So, you know, let me just say this, right? So the Minnesota chapter with, let's just say me, CC, the Derugis, we are new, period. We're new, right? You guys, we managed to go from last place, okay, with the least amount of memberships. So now we have the most memberships, and we are also the biggest chapter. So we went from last place to first place in less than a month.
Wow.
And that's from hard work, sheer dedication. And we can't tell you exactly, but I know that the whole trip is going to DC, and that's all I know. That's right. To meet with the two big dogs, Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens. That's because, look, faith, right, without works is dead.
That's it.
We did faith with works.
Yeah.
So, hey,
combination.
Blexit, Minnesota is alive and number one because of Yeshua. That's it. You know, all glory and all praise to Yeshua. And then, of course,
does this mean there's going to be a Blexit caucus in 2022?
Hey, you know what? You never know. I mean, you never know. And CC might run it. You know, Q might run it. I mean, you never know. Yeah, you never know.
Q, House of Representatives. I forget what district you're in. Blexit party.
I would definitely like to run against in primary our current representative. So absolutely. So
can we tell people how to join up, or do we need to not?
You said what?
We can now because the text is not blue anymore.
Can we tell people how to join?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you are a resident of Minnesota, please go to blexitfoundation.org/join-a-chapter. blexitfoundation.org/join-a-chapter. That will help us out.
So can you throw that in the description?
I just threw it in chat, but I will also throw it in the description.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I appreciate that. Awesome. I appreciate that. Hey, two things you can do for
join Blexit.
You don't have to be black to join. I had a few people ask about that.
I know. I was telling CC that earlier. Yeah, I was like, I get asked that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there's more than black people on the plantation. So
yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's powerful, man. That's like a third powerful thing I need to steal from you. Because I like what he said, that they don't make accusations, they make confessions.
I know. I wrote that down. I literally wrote that down. Like, I'm gonna have to put that in the I'm gonna have to give him credit.
You should do a voiceover too for like night stories and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, you should help people get to sleep. He said a soothing voice, don't he? It's how he said it too. He's like, they don't make accusations, they make confessions. I was like, that boy sounds smooth.
Like that boy good.
Yeah, he good.
Oh, man. All right. So, hey, do a couple things for us. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you guys for sticking it out with us, sticking it through. So 2 things. Number 1, if you are not currently a subscriber to Out of the Darkness, please, we love our subscribers. Please subscribe to the channel. And secondly, if you are a Minnesota resident and you are not currently a member of Blexit, guys, we're true conservatives. You've sat here, you've listened to us, you've heard us spill our guts and to pour our hearts out to you. If you don't know where we stand as far as conservative values go, then you weren't listening. Go back and watch it over again. All right.
No obligation.
No obligation. It's free to do, and it only takes about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, please continue to check in to see what we're doing. We're going to continue to bring great guests. Hopefully we'll have these guys back again soon. And if we can figure out how to do it, Soder, I would love to live stream the debate. So we might be able to do it through Twitch possibly, but we'll see how that goes. But
Soder in a cup.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna get you. Yeah. You definitely have a lot of ice in it.
Yeah, I do.
Ain't much drink left though.
I like a cold drink. Well,
it ain't much drink left. I think it's all ice.
It's not. It just reminds me of my ancestors and them having to deal with the cold.
For Christmas, I think I'm gonna get Soder some of that Sonic ice. You know, the little bitty
Sonic ice.
That Sonic. Oh yeah. You don't know about that Sonic ice? Yeah, man. It just
Sonic ice.
Sonic ice, man, from Sonic.
Yeah, you don't really hear it when you drink from it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, either that
Sonic
or
ice from the restaurant. Okay.
Yeah, either that or get them a styrofoam cup. All right.
But you don't like come and take it?
This
I don't like what?
Come and take.
Q, one request.
What's up?
Next time me and Cece are on, Soder, you have to have a brown bag, okay, around your drinking apparatus. You have to fold it down too the right way.
I don't know if I ever learned how to do that.
Wow.
Hey, next time we get together, I'll teach you. It's real simple. Oh man. All right, man. Hey, thank you guys so much. It was great visiting with you, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Take care, everybody.
All right, guys.
4 more years, y'all.
That's right.
4 more.
Good night.
All right, guys.